voted against it, including Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. This comes after a vote to censure her failed earlier this week. Had it passed, it would have removed the Minnesota lawmaker from her committees. Congresswoman Nancy Mace pushed that resolution, that censure, I should note, over comments that Omar had made after Charlie Kirk's assassination. These are just some of the tweets that the South Carolina Republican directed at Omar. We're not even showing you all of them. At one point, she called for her to be deported, despite the fact that Omar is a U.S. citizen. Omar responded, calling her crazy, unwell, and saying that she's in need of therapy. My source tonight is Minnesota Democrat Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, and it's great to have you here. I mean, we'll talk about the Nancy Mace of all of this in a moment, but on that resolution that passed today, a lot of your House colleagues, the Democrats, voted yes on this. Why did you vote no?
Yeah, well, I condemn political violence, and I obviously condemn the assassination of Charlie Kirk. I just not get myself to honor a legacy that I believe was filled with hate, bigotry, and rage baiting. And I think it's really important for us to have this honest conversation about what this man's legacy was, you know, what he spewed on his podcast, and the ways in which he disparaged women of color like myself.
Your colleague, another Democrat, Jamie Raskin, voted yes on this resolution. He basically said, even if he didn't agree with every phrase in it, that he viewed it as a moment for both parties to come together. Do you think he's wrong in that?
Well, the moment should exist, but what we have seen this week in regards to what my Republican colleagues have decided to do in their attacks targeting me, and what the president has decided to do, these are people who are calling basically for our assassination of us. Nancy Mace, as you just referenced, called me the enemy of the state. And so these are not people who are interested in bringing us together. They're not interested in, turning the value down. They're not interested in finding common ground. And even the Republicans who voted out of their obligation to the Constitution and doing the right thing in making sure that I didn't get censured for words I did not actually say, they are being under attack right now. They're being threatened. A call for their resignation is out there, and some of them are actually frightened for their lives from their own base. And so, when we say we want a country that's united, it starts with all of us and all of our actions, and we're not seeing that on the other side of the aisle right now.
Yeah, and to be clear on Mace, she didn't literally call for your assassination, but you're saying because of all of the comments, I mean, we just showed the dozens of tweets directed at you, that you're arguing instigating violence against you.
Right. I mean, what do you expect for people to do with me when you call me the enemy of the state? What do you do with people to do with me when you're the president of the United States? And you say this person here in Congress is in our country to destroy the country. There is no clear way to incite violence against a sitting member of Congress, unless you go after them in that kind of way. Nancy Mace also retweeted something Charlie Kirk said, which was that Islam was the sword that was going to slit the throat of Western civilization. As a visibly Muslim member of Congress, how am I supposed to feel safe when words like that are out there and there are deranged people who will take action to protect me from the United States? It's frightening.
And I want to be clear, all this started, and what Mace was trying to censure you over and get you removed from your committees, was because of comments that you had made in the aftermath of Charlie Kirk's murder. I want everyone to have a chance to listen.
Unfortunately,
to what you said.
it is not. She has not used the comments that I made with Mahdi Hassan in that interview, which those are not the words that she quoted in the resolution. So we have to be clear about that.
Yeah, because in what she's accusing you of is smearing Charlie Kirk and said that you implied he was to blame for his own murder. That's what she said in the censure. You're saying you didn't say that. I just want people to be able to listen to you themselves. Let's play those comments.
Charlie was someone who was willing to debate and downplay the death of George Floyd in the hands of Minneapolis police.
I think he called him a scumbag.
Right, have no regard, downplay slavery and what Black people have gone through in this country by saying Juneteenth should never exist. And there are a lot of people who are out there talking about him just wanting to have a civil debate.
It's
And
complete rewriting of a complete rewriting of history.
yeah, there is nothing more effed up, than to completely pretend that his words and actions have not been recorded and in existence for the last decade or so. And you have people like Nancy Mace who constantly harass people that she finds inferior and wants them not to exist in this country or ever. And you have people like Trump who has incited violence against people like me. And so these people are full of shit, and it's important for us to call them out while we feel anger and sadness and have empathy, which Charlie said it shouldn't exist because that's a newly created word or something. Like, I have empathy for his kids and his wife and what they're going through because I do not want
No
that.
one should go through that, and we hold ourselves, I hope, to higher standards.
When you listen back to that, do you stand by what you said there?
Yeah, I do believe it is important for us to hold a mirror. There are so many people that are pretending the words that Charlie said don't exist. The way he made black women feel when he said we didn't have brain processing power to thought processing power to get ourselves into college and to be taken seriously as professionals. Or as a black person, if you were a pilot and he walked on that plane, he'd be scared. These are actual words that this man has said. And I can't even begin. We will be here all day if I told you all of the things he has said about Muslims and immigrants and the trans community. He had hate for so many people, and he mocked the death of George Floyd. This is not somebody I am going to sit back and say had a great legacy of bringing people together, because he did the opposite. And it is important, while we mourn his death and condemn his assassination and feel empathy for his kids and wife, we are not here to whitewash what he did while he was alive.
And no one is saying that you have to whitewash what he did, or that you have to defend what he said or the views that he held. But regardless of those views, do you believe the timing of saying that the day after that he was assassinated, the comments there, do you regret the timing of those comments?
Do you think Charlie regretted mocking George Floyd's death as his 7-year-old pled to the world on what happened to her child? I think saying what Charlie did and who he was has nothing to do with his assassination. It has nothing to do with the timing of his assassination. It is a matter of record.
I asked because the way former President Obama put it, he also said he thought that Charlie Kirk's ideas and views were wrong.
Yes.
But he said, and I'm quoting Obama now, we have to extend grace to people during their period of mourning and shock. Does he have a point?
Yeah, I extend grace to his wife and kids. I cannot imagine what they are going through. But the reality is that his wife sat by him as he said those things and did not tell him that these are human beings who you are calling garbage, who you are saying they don't have the brain power because they were born in a different skin color. Like, I do not understand how we are okay as a society with people who say that about our fellow Americans, a fellow human being, and regard them as a hero. I'm sorry, I don't see it.
No one is saying that you have to agree with him. I don't think it's surprising that his wife agreed with him, obviously, or that they shared similar views. I just think that what people looked at it is, the day after his shocking death, that his views were being litigated in that way. No one's saying you have to lionize him.
But we were responding to the people who were lionizing him. I was not going to have a debate on Charlie. We were responding to the people who wanted the debate on Charlie. I put out a tweet right when he was killed that political violence is wrong and that we should work everything within our power to end the gun violence in this country. None of us were interested in litigating his life until his supporters and our House Republican colleagues decided to say he was akin to Martin Luther King, who this man loathed. So you invited us into that debate that you wanted to have, that you said Charlie was always interested in. And so you cannot get upset, you can't be mad if people then hold that mirror and say, but here's really who he was. And we cannot forget, it's one thing to ask us to condemn the violence, but it's another for you to ask us to pretend Charlie wasn't who Charlie was.
I'm not sure anyone's asking that. I mean, maybe some
That
people
is
are.
what
I'm
is what
certainly-
people are
I'm certainly
asking.
not asking that, but
That is what people
can I
are
ask you,
asking. People
Congresswoman,
are
because-
asking and are getting fired for sharing Charlie's words.
Well, and some people were celebrating it. That was part of it. But
I haven't seen that.
issue,
I've just seen people sharing his words.
and there was a town hall that you had
I'm
6
not
days
right.
ago. You called Kirk a quote hateful man, and you had reposted a video that I'm sure you've seen. You've taken criticism for. It's a video that called him a reprehensible human being and said Kirk was Dr. Frankenstein and his monster shot him through the neck. Why repost that video?
Because there were a lot of things in the video that I did agree with. Obviously, we share videos. We don't have to agree with every single word. But I do believe he was a reprehensible, hateful man. Like, that is my view of the words that he has said about every single identity that I belong to. He didn't believe that we should have equal access to anything. He also just didn't even believe I could be smart enough. I could have thoughts that could be equal to a white man. Where are we missing this conversation about who this man was and the things that he said? How do you not find that reprehensible, Caitlin?
Well, of
Do
course
you-
I don't.
do you think
I
I
don't
don't
subscribe
have-
to that? But I
Do
think
you
the
think I
argument
don't
being
have
made-
the brain processing power like you or a white man?
Well, of course not. And I
know,
think it's
but-
very clear here that
But
I'm
if
not
somebody
sharing
said
his
that,
views
would
and I
you
don't
say that
justify
that would
them.
be reprehensible views?
I think the argument that was being made.
No, but I'm
and
asking
what
you.
we have heard.
What I'm asking you is, would you say
Yeah, I
that?
understand what you're asking me.
But you're
I understand
asking me,
what
how
you're
could I
asking me,
find him
Congresswoman.
reprehensible? Like, that
No,
is
I'm not-
reprehensible. You said it is reprehensible yourself. That is vile, it's reprehensible, and it is hateful.
No, I'm not asking why you think he's reprehensible. I think you're obviously allowed to have your own views. That's why we have you on here so often, because we like to hear your views and what you think on something. I just think it was the video where it called him Dr. Frankenstein and said his monster shot him through the neck. I mean, obviously this is a person, and looking at this is someone who was a husband and a father, and in the days after his shocking death, that happened as a result of his views, or it happened as a result as he was sharing his views publicly with people, that people found it jarring to hear such criticism of that in the immediate aftermath of
What
someone's death.
I find jarring is that there's so many people willing to excuse the most reprehensible things that he said, that they agree with that they're willing to have monuments for him, that they want to create a day to honor him, and that they want to produce resolutions in the House of Congress honoring his life and legacy. It is one thing to care about his life, because obviously so many people loved him, including his children and wife. But I am not going to sit here and be judged for not wanting to honor any legacy this man has left behind. That should be in the dustbin of history, and we should hopefully move on and forget the hate that he spewed every single day.
Do you think your colleagues who voted, your Democratic colleagues who voted yes on that resolution, should not have voted yes? Is that your view?
A lot of people come to their own conclusions on why they vote. We heard from some people who said they loved the part about condemning gun violence, about condemning political violence. There's people who obviously voted for different reasons that they haven't shared. I'm not here to judge what people do and the votes that they take. We all have different relationships, but there is a clear reason that you see a huge portion of the Congressional Black Caucus take that vote, because we did find this man reprehensible in the way in which he talked about us and those of us who are of African descent.
Why do you think Nancy Mace is targeting you as much as she is?
It's an easy clickbait. There is a lot of hate in this country for Muslims. There's a lot of hate in this country for Black people, especially Black women. And there is a lot of hate, severe hate, for immigrants. And so I fit the mold. She knows that she can easily raise money and get support for her bigotry from her bigoted, the bigoted people who want to give money to her campaign. But the reality is, in this country, the First Amendment does not only protect speech, it protects the right and liberty for anybody to practice their faith. I do practice the Muslim faith. I am an immigrant. I am proud of both of those things. And I was, of course, born in Somalia, which the president likes to mention. And I'm also proud of my Somali heritage, and that is not something that they can take away from me. And I just want to say, one thing that the president should understand is that you can't impeach a sitting member of Congress. And it is unfortunate that the members of Congress have not educated their uneducated president about how things work in Congress.
Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, thank you for your time tonight.
Appreciate that. Thank you.